Looking for a summer experience your child will never forget? Camp Paw Print and Camp Wildside at Dane County Humane Society offer unforgettable opportunities to learn, explore, and grow while having fun. Perfect for kids ages 7 to 12, Camp Paw Print features hands-on animal encounters, crafts, themed lessons, and more. For youth ages 12 to 15, Camp Wildside offers unique themes focused on wildlife exploration, nature adventures, and conservation activities. Make lasting memories with these one-of-a-kind camps. Spots fill quickly, so register today at giveshelter.org/education. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, lights, camera, action. Ooh, it never gets old. It's time for the 2026 Wisconsin Film Festival. 8 days, 7 theaters, and more than 130 films to behold. What more could you ask for? With me today to get into all the details of the fest is the Director of Operations at the Wisconsin Film Festival, Ben Reiser. Welcome back to CityCast Madison.
Thanks, Bianca. It's always a pleasure to be here. I think this is my 3rd year in a row.
Yes. I look forward to it. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Sing it!
And there is snow outside somehow, we never know. But there are movies to behold, so let's get right into it. New year, new films. What can people expect from this year's fest? Are there any standouts or changes or things you want to kind of bring to the forefront for folks?
What's been exciting for us behind the scenes this year is that there have not really been any changes since last year. We're at the same venues for basically the same amount of time. We have added one more screen at Flicks Brewhouse for a few of the 4 days that we'll be there. So we've expanded a little bit there. And we also made a decision not too long ago to take one of our screenings, a screening of the silent classic original vampire movie Nosferatu, with live musical accompaniment that we had set up for 4070 Vilas Hall, UW Cinematheque. We sold out of that so fast that we thought, you know what? We should probably move this to a bigger venue. So we moved it over to the Barrymore. So instead of closing down at the Barrymore at the end of Sunday night of the festival like we did the last few years, we are coming back to the Barrymore on Wednesday night of the festival for Nosferatu with live musical accompaniment by an indie music artist who calls herself on stage Circuit de Yeux, Y-E-U-X. So is that eyes?
Oh my God. Circuit of the Eyes.
Circuit of the Eyes.
Spooky. I
Very
love it.
Very spooky. But apparently she is a big hit in that indie rock community. She and Alan Sparhawk from the band Low, the two of them are combining forces and playing live musical accompaniment for Nosferatu. So that should be awesome. So really, I'm only mentioning it because that's one of the few changes that we have one more night at the Barrymore than we did last year. But other than that, same venues, same basic time of year, same 8 days, including opening night.
That sounds so exciting. I'm so glad that we kicked it off there. That sounds really cool. And I feel like I've heard of that band as well. And any movie that has live music with it, I mean, it just amps it up. And I think everyone's wild for Nosferatu. So I am not surprised that it sold out so quick. Now that we've heard about one of the films, can we roll in and talk about other films to highlight?
Yeah, let's roll away. Speaking of music related stuff, we've got not one, but 2 films this year starring Charli XCX, who previously I think is only known for her music and maybe her videos that come with her music.
It's going to be a brat spring.
It's going to be a brat festival, or as we say in Wisconsin, brat. It's going to be a brat festival. It's not the brat festival, but it's going to be a brat festival. So Charli XCX, she's in a movie called Erupcja, which I think is maybe eruption in Polish. She doesn't speak Polish in this film, or maybe a little tiny bit, but mostly she's just speaking English in her adorable English accent. And she's also in the new Greg Araki movie called I Want Your Sex, which we are showing, I think, on closing night of the festival. So we've got 2 screenings of Erupcja and one of I Want Your Sex. So you can, if you wanted to, you could see Charlie XCX 3 times at this festival.
Wow, I feel like that's a real draw for certainly Gen Z, millennial. I don't whatever's before Gen Z for younger folks.
I've lost track of all the different gens.
Frankly, I have to. All the way up to Boomer, because she's something to see. Like that sounds like a lot of fun and interesting for sure. We actually have a clip from the Eruptia trailer. Let's hear a bit from that movie now.
Why are you here?
Mount Etna erupted yesterday. Can I come up?
You look the same. And you look different.
My boyfriend's gonna propose tomorrow.
With him, the earth doesn't shake. Every time we get together, a volcano erupts. We like to joke that we're making it happen.
What's the joke? Volcanoes kill people.
Wow. I mean, I'm bopping my head. I know that you see me. We've got 2 strong starts for musical movies, or at least movies that have some great music in it. I am curious, since Charlie XCX is such a pop star, and there are some folks who probably don't know her, though she is entering her acting era. Do you think everyone can enjoy these films?
Yeah, for sure. I've seen Eruptia, and it's a perfectly charming little indie film that takes place in Warsaw, Poland. It's kind of like a shoegazy kind of very kind of lo-fi and low stakes story. She arrives in Warsaw with her boyfriend. He's going to propose to her. She knows he's going to propose to her, but she goes and visits an ex-flame who lives in Warsaw, and because she's having some second thoughts about whether she wants to be in this relationship that she's about to be handed a ring for. So I liked it a lot. It's nice and short. It's only 71 minutes. So if you're the kind of festival goer who's trying to pack as many movies into the same day as possible, this is your ticket, because you could probably see this plus another 4 movies if you played your cards right, which is the opposite of some of the other films we're showing this year. For some reason, this year we've got some very, very long films. We've got a film called My Undesirable Friends, which is a documentary about journalists in modern day Russia and all of the trials and tribulations that they face in trying to report the news in Russia. It doesn't sound all that different than what's going on here these days. But that movie is 5.5 hours long. And we're showing it with 2 intermissions. So that's a film that if you wanted to see, you'd have to say, well, okay, this is sort of the equivalent of me seeing 3 other movies in the same time period at the festival.
Ben, good on y'all. Those are for the hardcore filmies. I'm so happy to hear it. Freaks among us. And I include myself in that.
Yes. We've got a restoration of this spectacular Bollywood film from the 70s called Sholay or Sholai, depending on how you pronounce Indian words. But Sholay, I think, is also probably over 3 hours, I think. So we're showing that one with a single intermission. I think it might be 3.5 hours. So that's one that's going to eat up your time and take away some of your stats for how many films you were able to see during the entire festival. And then we've also got a Wisconsin's Own feature-length film, which is certainly the longest Wisconsin's Own entry I've ever had the opportunity to take a look at and decide whether we want to show it. And we do want to show this one. It's called Winter Hymns. It's by this guy, Nathan Deming, who has shown films in our festival before. He won a Golden Badger Award a couple years ago for his short film, February. Now, even his short film, February, was, I think it was like almost 40 minutes long. So it wasn't that short for a short. But Winter Hymns is, I think, 2 hours and 40 minutes. And it's intense. It all takes place in a single room at a palliative care clinic. And it stars Colleen Madden, who some of you may know from her stage time at American Players Theater, which is sort of like the big, cool Shakespeare company. They do Shakespeare outdoors all summer long and into the fall. And they also do other non-Shakespeare things. But they've been doing their thing in Spring Green forever. And Colleen actually was the star of one of our festival trailers back in 2018. but she plays a palliative care doctor. And it's kind of like a much more slow and contemplative version of that show, The Pit, in that you kind of see her whole day. Like her whole day is made up of appointments with people who are dying and their families. And it's just one encounter with terminally ill patient after another, which sounds depressing. And I'm not going to say that it's a party, but it's a very well written and very well acted film, and we're excited to show it.
It sounds really deep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want to have some contemplations about end of life and being there for your loved ones and loved ones not being there for others, I mean, that sounds moving. And also, everyone keeps talking about The Pit. I have not watched The Pit. This is the show on HBO, right? So it's a medical drama. But yeah, and I just want to second how important APT, American Players Theater, is in our area, in our region. And I'm pretty sure the New York Times has written about it, and just it's a gem of the Midwest and really the U.S. So I bet a lot of people are excited that Colleen Madden will be in that. So
we originally only scheduled a single screening at the Bartell Theater on Sunday night of the festival. And I should probably say the festival is from April 9th through 16th. So that's Thursday the 9th through Thursday the 16th. And so I guess the Sunday is the 12th. Anyway, that screening sold out really quickly. And so we decided to add a second screening later on in the week, I think on Tuesday afternoon at Flicks Brewhouse. And Nathan, the director, and Colleen of APT fame, I believe, are going to be at both screenings to do a Q&A after the film.
I've certainly heard Nathan Deming's name around as well. So
Yeah. He was one of these guys who was really pushing that Wisconsin film tax credit last year.
Yes, and I want to talk to you about that on the other end of this conversation briefly.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So what's next on your list?
So, in addition to being director of operations for the festival, the other thing I get to do every year is I head up the programming committee for the Wisconsin Zone section of the festival. So Winter Hymns was a Wisconsin Zone film, and Wisconsin Zone films are films that were made here in Wisconsin, or the filmmakers are from Wisconsin, or went to school here, or are still in school here, or drove through one time on their way to a more interesting state, perhaps. But anyway, so I get to see this year, we had almost 200 submissions of films to watch, and we wound up picking about 40 of them to show. And I wanted to talk about another pretty serious film, a feature-length documentary called Cycle, which is about a shooting incident that happened in Racine, Wisconsin in 2019. A police officer tried to pull over a teenager who was riding home late night on a bicycle. And nobody really knows what happened because the officer did not turn on his body camera, but the kid wound up dead, shot by this officer. And this is a film that examines that incident and also examines it as part of a seemingly never-ending cycle of police violence against people of color, teenagers, all kinds of stuff. It's a pretty moving documentary and well done. We do get a bunch of documentaries every year that might be about interesting subject matters, but as far as the actual filmmaking, some of it is questionable. And so sometimes even if we want to show something because we're interested in the subject matter, sometimes we just can't bring ourselves to show something that we think isn't maybe playing fair or, showing both sides of a story, that kind of thing, or, or presenting its case forcefully enough. But this one does. And so we're really thrilled to have it. And the filmmakers will be here to talk about that film as well. So there's one.
Yeah. Cycle, reading about it and just hearing about it again, it's certainly one that I would want to see for personal reasons as a black person. I imagine you, Ben, in your family, this is probably hits pretty close to home too.
It does. It really does. I've got a son who's in Indiana finishing up his college career, but it's something I think about all the time with him out in the world by himself. It's tough.
Well, we actually have a clip to share from that trailer, so why don't we go ahead and hear a bit of that?
One thing I was always afraid of, what would I do if I ever got that knock at the door? and I got it.
There just isn't any of that evidence to say one way or the other what actually transpired in June in 2019.
Really pivotal questions were not being answered.
Racine police are leading that investigation. They say it started because an 18-year-old did not have a light on his bicycle.
You can't explain how he got pulled over on a bike and shot twice in the head.
First thought in my head was Emmett Till. I want them to see what he did to my son.
Really powerful, really powerful. So thank you for setting that one up, and folks should definitely make an effort to see that.
Hi, CityCast listeners. This is David Plotz. I'm the CEO of CityCast, but I also have another job. I'm one of the hosts of the Political Gabfest, Slate's politics podcast. Every week, I get on mic with my co-hosts Emily Bazelon and John Dickerson, and we talk about politics and a lot more about other things that we care about. The Gabfest has been going for more than 20 years because the three of us love talking to each other, and we have an amazing community of listeners. If you like the open-hearted, curious way CityCast approaches cities, I think you'll like the Political Gabfest too. Stream it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast.
Let's go ahead and turn to a different sort of energy film, and that's what's coming up for opening night. Let's talk about it.
Okay, sure. Opening night, we've got for the second year in a row a comedy. Last year we showed a sneak preview of Friendship, the Paul Rudd film that opened not long after we showed it. This year, we've got a film that for the longest time, everybody on staff kept calling Poetic Justice, just because I don't know why, that's the more, I guess, slightly more common phrase, but this film is called Poetic License. And so we finally got that in our heads, and I can usually, if people ask me, what's playing opening night, I can usually say Poetic License before Justice sneaks back into my brain. So Poetic License is a film written and directed by Maud Apatow, who is the daughter of Judd Apatow, who some people may know from his film and TV career as a director. He created Freaks and Geeks, and he's made a million comedy films over the last 20 years or so.
Co-created Girls and
right.
Yeah, done a lot. His imprint is everywhere. So it's interesting to see the legacy passed down, this family lineage here.
Right. And his wife and the mother of Maud Apatow is Leslie Mann, the comedic actor, and she stars in this film. So Maud is directing her mom. And Leslie Mann plays a middle-aged woman who decides to audit a poetry class at her local university and kind of falls into a relationship with two of the younger college-age boys who are in the class with her. One of them is played by Cooper Hoffman, son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's been in some good movies as of late, including Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza 3 or 4 years ago. 5 years ago? How long has it been since Licorice Pizza? I don't know.
It probably has been at least 5 years. Time is not real. I say that so often. Yeah, I mean, also, this is totally for my own sake. But is she named after Maude from Harold and Maude, do you think? Like, you don't hear that name anymore.
That's true. It is a kind of an old school name. I don't know. I don't know the origin of Maud's name.
I would be similarly brained because I like the name Harold for that exact reason. But enough about me. But opening night, 7 p.m. at the Barrymore, y'all can see Poetic License, and that just sounds like a lot of fun and more family in a different direction. Yeah. Are there any other bits about opening night that folks should know?
Well, here's what you should know. It is officially sold out of advance tickets. And I'm mentioning that not to depress anybody, but to remind people, if they don't know, that we have this policy called the Rush Line, which is where if you don't have a ticket to a film and we don't have any more tickets left for that film, we will set up a line outside of the venue, in this case, the Barrymore, maybe an hour before showtime, where people can line up. And if there are empty seats in the house at showtime or shortly before showtime, we will sell you those seats out from under whoever might have gotten the ticket for those seats weeks earlier. Now, this isn't as true for opening night, although it certainly is true on opening night. A lot of times people buy tickets in advance for things, and then over the course of the festival, they get called away on an emergency of some kind or business, or they get sick, or they just get burnt out and think, I know I got 30 tickets for movies, but I really am done after the 20th movie. We do have a pretty good track record of getting people into movies that theoretically don't have tickets left for them. So if you want to come on opening night, feel free to come on opening night. I would be surprised if we weren't able to get an additional 30 or 40 people in from a rush line before the movie starts.
Hey, that's hopeful. Let's get into some logistics here because, as we've discussed, this is a massive festival. It's so much fun. And in terms of where the festival happens, it's truly a citywide event. Can you drop the different places where folks can expect to have screenings if they weren't there last year?
Sure. So things will kick off on Thursday, April 9th at the Barrymore Theater, which is on Atwood Avenue. It's our biggest venue by far. I think we have around 800 seats at that theater, including some seats that we put in at the front of the orchestra pit. And then on Friday, we open up a bunch more theaters, including our 4 on campus, on the UW-Madison campus venues. Those are 4070 Vilas Hall, otherwise known as UW Cinematheque. And then across the street from that venue is the Chazen Museum of Art, where we show films. Basically, on the other side of Park Street, we are over at Music Hall, which is the cool church-like building at the base of Bascom Hill. This is our 3rd year showing films at Music Hall. And then we're also over at the Marquee at Union South. So those 3 venues open up on Friday, and we show movies all day Friday, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. We're also continue on at the Barrymore for screenings on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we also open at the Bartell Theater, which is off the Capitol Square. And we've shown movies there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So then at the end of Sunday, we close down all of the venues I just mentioned and bring all our stuff over to Flick's Brewhouse over at the East Town Mall. And we have the second half of our festival, the final 4 days of the festival, almost exclusively at Flick's. And I say almost exclusively because, as we talked about before, we've got this Nosferatu screening back at the Barrymore on Wednesday night. But that is our festival footprint.
It's just bringing it all back. It's just so fun every year. And there's all of the different venues have different vibes and experiences. So I remember last year.
Different amounts of stickiness underneath the seats and yeah.
Yeah, different screens. And it's funny, the Barrymore, 800 people, but it still feels so intimate. It's really wild. So I was having lots of great memories, and including last year, the whole CityCast Madison team got to go to Flick's Brewhouse for your event, the sneak peek, looking ahead.
First look at the fest.
The first look at the fest. This year, Rob Thomas was able to make it. I was so deeply jealous. But last year, we spoke with people about their experiences, and someone said that part of their process for getting tickets is making sure that they're hitting every venue. So, like, people approach this in so many different ways. And I'm curious if you have any recommendations for folks about, you know, how they should go about getting their tickets and planning their experience.
I mean, I do think if you're trying to get the most out of a day at the festival, it probably is helpful to sort of pick your spot. Like, you can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to be on campus all day Saturday, or I'm going to be at the Bartell, or I'm going to be at the Barrymore. But now this is something I have to do all day long at the festival every day, which is to drive back and forth from the Barrymore back to campus, to the Bartell, back to campus, back to the Barrymore for various introductions and Q&As that I'm involved in. But if I didn't have to do that for work, if I was just coming to the festival, I would not attempt to go bouncing around town in a single day like that. I would say, like, let this be my campus day. Let this be my Barrymore day. And then, of course, the second half of the festival is easier because we're basically just over at Flick's. So you can then sort of park yourself at Flick's Brewhouse and watch 4 or 5 movies a day for 4 days if you want to. That's what I'll be doing.
The regional plan of attack. That's smart.
Yeah.
And so tickets are $12 each plus tax and fees. Where do people get tickets? You know, what are the logistics there?
Yeah, tickets are available 24/7 online at our website, which is wifilmfest.org. And then we also have some limited in-person box office hours between now and the start of the festival. And that information is on our website. It's also in the printed version of our 32-page film guide, which is available in this month's issue of Isthmus. And also there are PDF versions of it available online if you want to just sort of download a PDF and scroll through it on your computer screen. I think we're doing basically Saturdays in the Barrymore lobby selling tickets, Wednesday evenings at the Mitchell Theater box office on campus. So online is easiest, but in person, if you like that kind of in-person experience and you want to have some hard tickets in your hand when you leave the box office. And then during the festival, all of our venues have box offices where you can buy tickets for anything you want. Like, it doesn't have to be a movie that's showing at that venue. You could go to the Bartell and buy tickets for a screening that's going to be on campus and vice versa. That's how you get tickets.
That's how you get tickets. And shouting out one more way you can get tickets, we're doing a ticket giveaway on CityCast Madison. So folks should head over to our Instagram page. If you're not following us, follow us and go find that post. You might be a lucky winner of tickets to the Wisconsin Film Fest. So, hey, thank you guys for including us so we could do that for our listeners. And yeah, it's CityCast Madison. That's all you need to type into Instagram to get in there. But as we know, Ben, man, these shows sell out fast. And for someone who's new, who's never been to the festival, how would you describe the Madison film-going community? Like, prime the newbies. Are we a big filmy city? What can folks expect?
If you've never been to the festival and you haven't come to see us the rest of the year at UW Cinematheque, you might be in for a surprise because it is a different vibe than going to Marcus Point or AMC Fitchburg during the rest of the year, in that there's a lot more people. People seem a lot more excited. You're going to be in a theater not with just 5 or 10 other people, like the last few movies I've seen in the commercial multiplexes. You're going to be in a theater with 100 or 200 or 700 other people. So that's a sort of level of excitement that you should prepare yourself for, because there's a buzz, and people are not only there, but they're there and they're excited to talk about the movies they're about to see. They're excited to talk about the movies they've just seen. And sometimes you have to be careful because you could accidentally walk into a conversation that's filled with spoilers for something that you haven't seen yet. So I try to kind of
avoid people at all costs.
Well, that's always, no. But at the festival, I definitely try to keep my ears shut down as much as I can as I'm walking through busy lobbies where something has just let out. But it's super fun. And it's, seeing a movie in a theater filled with your friends and neighbors and strangers who you don't know, but that you're all experiencing something for the first time, because many of these movies, these are their premieres. So nobody else in the theater knows a lot more about the film than you do going into it. And that's always a lot of fun, hearing the reactions of the people around you and sort of everyone laughing together at the comedies and crying together at the sad melodramas and everything in between, gasping. We've got a lot of horror movies in this year's festival. So it's just great. There's something about the festival that you're not going to get going to movies the rest of the year, and you're certainly not going to get by watching them at home. Not that I'm complaining about watching movies at home. I do it all the time, but it's just not the same thing.
Yeah, you've got to go if you haven't been. You just have to go and experience it to know. And, one of the most exciting components of the festival, as we talked about, is that Wisconsin's own series and having local storytellers, filmmakers, everyone who works on films get an opportunity to have their stories heard and seen. On that note, the state recently announced the opening of a new office and a slew of tax credits to incentivize filmmakers to come here. We mentioned it earlier in our conversation. As someone deeply ingrained in Madison's film ecosystem, how exciting is that news to you?
I think it's great. It was probably a decade ago that Wisconsin sort of abandoned its film office and sort of shoved it into the Office of Tourism. And things haven't been the same. So it's a thrill to see there be a government interest in bringing elements of the film industry back to Wisconsin. The more films that get made around here, the merrier. that there's more stuff for me to get to watch to decide to show in the festival every year. But it also, brings all kinds of business into the state. I think it's terrific. I can't wait to see what comes of it.
Well, this is my last question for you, because I think we've covered a lot. What's your favorite film made in Wisconsin? I'd say Madison, but obviously there's fewer there. So any film made in Wisconsin, and bonus points if it's been at the festival.
That is really a hard choice for me, but the first thing that came to mind, certainly one of the most unique films that has ever been made in Wisconsin. It was a huge hit at our festival, and then went on to become kind of like this cult sensation for the next couple of years, and that is Hundreds of Beavers.
Oh my goodness.
Have you seen this thing?
I haven't seen it, but the cult, I've felt the buzz and all of the conversation about it. And I've seen I think clips or trailer. I was like, what is going on around this?
Yeah, it's a terrific laugh out loud comedy, silent film, basically, but made, 5 years ago. And it's terrifically funny, extremely unique. Nobody's ever seen anything quite like this, although it certainly has its influences, but it's a one-of-a-kind comedic work of art, and it's from Wisconsin.
Can I throw mine in?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it would have ever been at the festival, but American Movie.
Yeah.
The documentary with the Milwaukee filmmakers who are so earnest. It almost feels like a mockumentary, but it's a film about them making a film. Coven.
We did have the star of American Movie, Mark Borchardt, at the festival maybe 7 or 8 years ago, because he had made a short film that we wound up showing at the Barrymore on the opening night of the festival that year, and we had him up for a Q&A, and he is as much of a character in real life on stage as he is in American Movie. I love that movie. That's an amazing movie. That's a great choice, Bianca.
I have it somewhere on the CityCast Madison website, as a blurb, something to know about me about loving that movie. And I was out in DC at a conference, and someone popped out to talk to me, and they're like, "You like American Movie? That's really rad." So I know it truly is another cult classic, and so sad I missed that. But that is why you go to the Wisconsin Film Festival and you tune in and listen to conversations like this. Ben, you're my favorite. Thank you for coming on the show and keeping us up to date on what's happening this year for the fest.
My pleasure, and I hope I get to see you at the festival, Bianca.
That's Director of Operations at the Wisconsin Film Festival, Ben Reiser. Y'all, this festival runs Thursday, April 9th through Thursday, April 16th. And as we said, go to our Instagram page, get in on the giveaway, put your name in, follow us, and you can maybe get some free tickets to the fest. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. Don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this episode with your favorite movie buff? Someone who likes Nosferatu. All right, y'all. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, take good care and thanks for listening.